Let's do this! Good evening, Pleasance. Are we well? What a year! What a great year! Best year of my life. Had a great time. I got gout. Thank you. I got the disease of a 17th century medieval sovereign. Turns out lying on the floor, sculling cans of Stella Artois and watching Tiger King can really hurry the thing on a little bit. So I had to, at the height of the pandemic, in lockdown 1, I had to go to a hospital. And guys, joking aside, the doctors and nurses were absolutely fantastic. Could I please get a round of applause in this room tonight for the doctors and nurses? Yeah! The admin staff were cunts, though. Real pieces of shit. Turns out the only way you make those little goblins worse is clap them every Thursday, tell them they're heroes and that. I'm a hero. Not you. No one meant you. You are a dick who can't use Microsoft Excel or manage basic manners. Okay, about a quarter of the room really went for that. 3/4 of you pulling back slightly. I get it, you sat there like going, they do technically work for the NHS. Does that make them health heroes? What if there's someone in from The Guardian? We might get killed. To the quarter of you that laughed at that, well done, because I did that routine last Tuesday to a room full of doctors and nurses and got a standing ovation. The only people who hate those goblins more than we do are doctors and nurses. So if you laughed at that, congratulations, that was an extension of Clap for Carers. I had a great time, I really did. I genuinely enjoyed myself. I don't really like people, and for the last 15 months, they have been legally obliged to leave me alone. Me and my wife did all the middle-class bingo stuff, grew tomatoes, grew courgettes, made bread, sourdough starter, and we had a baby. Whole set! Thank you. Yeah, we had the baby, and I don't want to kill it, so I've had to quit smoking. It's a shame, that's a deal. Quit smoking! And I miss it. I genuinely do miss smoking. Not the act of smoking, it's disgusting, isn't it? Expensive. I miss being able to say at any single point to someone, hey man, that's cool and all, I'm just nipping out for a fag. And I'm going, that's fine, no problem at all, that's socially acceptable. I don't have that anymore, I've got to be honest with people. Go, hey man, you're boring the arse of me, I'm going to stand in the rain. Incidentally, if there's anyone in this room who's ever said this, I don't know why people still smoke. You. You're the reason people still smoke. We would rather go and stand in the rain and freezing cold and look at a picture of a dead baby on a small cardboard box and engage in a slow, painful 40-year suicide than listen to any more of your bullshit. I hope that's cleared that up for a few of you. Now, it's been nice. I've enjoyed staying indoors. I've been doing all that, staying indoors, watching TV. I wasn't watching all the stuff that you guys are watching. I wasn't watching the Bake Off or any of that. I've been watching 15-year-old episodes of Dragon's Den on YouTube. Because I'm not what you describe as a net contributor to society. Guys, this is my gift to you. Come out on a Friday night. If you've got Amazon, Sky, Netflix, if you pay a TV license, do not bother, no need. All of the entertainment you will ever require for the rest of your life has been uploaded onto YouTube by Christ knows who. In the form of decades-old episodes of reality television. And you can watch them like a god from the future, looking back on the ants of the past. My favourite is Dragon's Den, if you're not aware of the programme. Basically, you've got 5 millionaires. They got money next to them in case you're in any doubt. They sit there, and then a poor person comes up in a lift, and they come out, and they beg. They beg on their bended knees. They beg with everything they have left in their soul to be allowed out of the tar pit that is their existence. And either the dragons go, come onto our wonderful raft of money, no need to kill yourself just yet. Or they go, back in the lift, peasant. Right, that's it. That's the whole program. Oh yeah, sorry. To make it slightly more degrading, they make them invent something. You know, for the sports, you can sit at home and be like, what's he made? What's the peasant brought? That'll never work. I hope he dies. Or like the only other one, yeah, I might buy one of those, right? That's it. Now, the whole programme is predicated on the notion that millionaires can see into the future and poor people are thick. That's the whole programme. So if you watch old episodes of it, it make you feel warm inside because you see how often they get it wrong, right? So recently, me and my dog were watching Series 2, Episode 4, Pitch 5. Dragons all sat there, peasant comes up in lift. Like, hello, dragons. I have invented an exercise bike which you plug into a computer and the computer will tell you if you are good at being on an exercise bike. Please, could I be let out of the cage that my life has become now, please? And then expert millionaire Peter Jones, 17 years ago, seeing into the future, goes, sorry, so in order for this to work, I need to plug an exercise bike into a computer. And the peasant goes, yeah. It's like a cable. It's what we could sell it in Argos. Look, mate, I've got kids, so this really needs some help. I'm really on the bleeding edge here. And then expert millionaire Peter Jones, 17 years ago, seeing into the future, goes, so in order for this to work, I need to pick up my exercise bike, I need to carry it into my home office, I need to plug it into a desktop computer. And I was like... You don't know anything, Peter Jones! I'm watching you in the future on an iPad. Naked, sitting on the toilet, drinking whiskey with a small dog. You might have money, but you fuck all idea what the future's like. He's a clever peasant. You should have let him on the raft. While I'm on the subject, Deborah Meaden. You don't get to speak to other human beings like that just because you sold your mum and dad's caravan park. It's a very relaxing way to spend your time. If you get bored of watching Dragon's Den, watch property programs from just before the financial crash. Oh my God, what a tonic for the times. A couple of weeks ago, I was watching an episode of Grand Designs. This fuck-knuckles wandering around a field. Very pleased with himself. Little caption comes up, says May 2007. And he goes, no, when we finish the barn, we're gonna put in a boating lake. No, you're not. There's a storm coming, boy! As soon as Kevin McLeod's finished complimenting your Art Deco lamp fixtures, next people through the door's gonna be the bailiffs. Might be a rough Christmas for you and the family in the new council flat. And suck on that, you smug prick! As I said, it's a very relaxing way to spend your time. I'm not a complete, I am aware that some people have had a terrible year. Some people have had a stinker. Absolute stinker. Jeff Bezos. He's had a stinker. He's had a terrible time. You a fan of Jeff Bezos, mate? Not really. Not really? Fuck you, not really. Jeff Bezos is the only thing that's given your life shape and meaning in the last 18 months. Pissed out your brain at 3 o'clock in the morning, you wanted a paddling pool, Jeff made sure it was there the next day. How dare you? And all he wanted to do was go to space, and people like you had to be a dick about it. He's the greatest human being that ever lived. He started in 1996 selling books, and now he's in space. When's the last time you read a book, mate? You start a vegan taco stand and get enough money to live at the bottom of the ocean, I'll listen to your not really. How dare you? Jeff Bezos is the best of us. Where was his clap? Where was his clap? We were all out there going, Captain Tom, Captain Tom. Fucking Captain Tom. Show-off prick. Captain Tom, didn't he? He got his Zimmer frame out, headed to his garden. We all went, what are you doing, Captain Tom? And he went, I'm saving the NHS. What are you doing? We're like, we're wanking and watching an American abuse tigers. And he said, well, I will save the NHS. And we went, okay. And we went, well done. Well done, Captain Tom. The very best of us. The greatest Britain. Well done, Captain Tom. And then what did we do? We had a whip round, and we sent him to Barbados to his certain death. Let it out, let it out. It's true, isn't it? We couldn't handle it. We couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle that mirror being held up to us by the greatest generation that ever lived, shaming us with their laps. To do away with him. Yeah, 10 minutes in was a bit early for the Captain Tom thing. Incidentally, if you're wondering, it is going to get worse. If at any point during this show you're thinking, he's a bit of an arsehole, you're correct, I am. I'm a lot of an arsehole. But just so you know, my wife works for a cancer charity, so actually our household is arsehole neutral. So I've got my offsets in, just in case anyone's worried. But Jeff, it's great. I was feeling a bit blue in the pandemic. I wanted an Axl Rose Funko Pop 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He sends it round. No questions asked. Like that. He sends things round like that. I remember when I first found out about that, about 2 years ago, I was talking to a friend on Facebook chat. It's like an internet thing for talking to people. And I was like, he said, hey man, have you heard of Amazon Prime Now? I went, Amazon Prime, of course I have. Movies, music, deliver things the next day. Big fan. And he went, no, Amazon Prime Now. I said, what is Amazon Prime Now? He said, it is the new Amazon service where they will deliver things within an hour. I said, you lie, sir. He said, I'm telling the truth. I Googled it, he was. I said, I gotta go. I called out to my wife. I said, Sarah, there's a new Amazon service where they deliver things within an hour. She said, what? I said, an hour? They serve booze. We must use it immediately. And she said, cool, we need dog food, dishwasher tablets. I said, fuck you. I'm not getting things we need. I'm getting things that we want, that we don't need. If I get things that we need, when it arrives, it won't be magic. She said, what do you mean? I said, if a man arrives at 10:30 on a Sunday night and he's like, there's a litre of vodka, some Haribo, and fuck it, The Lord of the Rings on Blu-ray. The man's a hero. Throw him a parade. If a man arrives at 10:30 on a Sunday night and he's like, clean the kitchen, he's a wanker. So, I got the app out, I got dog treats for the dog, want to get the whole family involved. I got colouring in pencils for my wife, because she is a 37-year-old woman who's recently decided to spend quite a lot of her leisure time doing adult colouring in. And I, in turn, have decided not to mind, because you have to pick your battles. And I got myself a litre of Jack Daniels and a Rolling Stones record on vinyl that I already owned on CD because I wanted the exercise to be 100% pointless. And then I waited. I was wearing a hole in the carpet. I could not believe that this was the world I was now living in. Tomorrow's world, today. My wife came out and said, why are you being so silly? I said, silly? Silly? When I was 8 years old, I found out Santa Claus didn't exist. I am in the middle of my 37th year, and Jeff Bezos might have reinvented the brick. And then 57 minutes after I clicked order, the doorbell went. I went, ding dong merrily on high. I opened the door, I nearly kissed the bastard. I said, you have some dog treats, you colour in whatever the hell you like. I opened the jack, I put the Stones on the turntable, I went, ba ba na na na. I can't get no satisfaction. Well, you weren't living in the 21st century, Mick, because I don't think I've ever been so satisfied in all my life. I woke up the next morning. We didn't have any milk. I reached for my phone. My wife said, if you get the milk from Amazon Prime, I will leave you. I said, what? She said, go to the shop. I said, the shop is over. We live in a new world now. And she said, go to the shop. So she made me get dressed. She made me go outside. She made me go into a shop and buy milk with paper money like a man from a black and white film. And all he wanted to do was go to space, mate. And you had to be a prick about it. to Christmas Day. He's Father Christmas. He knows who's been naughty and nice. He's got your internet browser history. But we got to ruin it. We got to spoil it. We didn't spoil Christmas when we were kids. We weren't wandering around the playground on Boxing Day going, apparently a lot of the elves are very depressed and the working conditions are quite bad. Apparently Santa Claus has got a very tough schedule and he actually has to poo in a bag on the sleigh to make it. Guardian readers ruining everything. He went to space and the Guardian readers were there, the naysayers are all sharing articles going, did you know he spent hundreds of billions of pounds going to space? Hundreds of billions of pounds. And instead of spending hundreds of billions of pounds going to space, he could have given every single one of us, he could have given us £20,000. And what would we have done with it? We would have gone to the nearest laptop, fired up Amazon, bought shit we didn't need, and given it back to him. Don't hate the player, hate the game. You're the game. Because you think, you don't like him because he's rich, and you're like, if I had money, I could do great things. And you're wrong. Look how you've chosen to spend £10. You are in a hot, windowless room on the knife edge of a global pandemic, drinking away what's left of your immune system while a fat idiot shouts at you. If I gave you more money, it would be chaos. You do something stupid like buy a big house because you haven't thought it through. You buy a big house, mate, people will come round. You don't need a big house. You need 3 rooms in your house. You need a room to sit in, to stare at the wall, a room for the things you don't want to look at, and a room to poo in. Everything else is chaos. It would make you unhappy. You'd do something stupid like buy a boat, wouldn't you? Then you'd stand up as a holiday tour guide for your ungrateful twat friends. You're not a money person. That's that bit. Good, okay, let's move on. Who here knows what a student is? Okay, you and you. Right. The rest of you, what happens is when human beings get to the age of 18, they turn into absolutely intolerable twatbags. So what we've done is we built these camps, and we send them to the camps. We go, get in the camp, there you go, get in the camp. Don't worry, it's nice, they have a whale of a time, they get discounts on crisps. And they stay in the camps and they marinate in their own bullshit, and then after 3 years, they emerge as beautiful butterflies into the job market, and we crush them. Now, occasionally, these little caterpillars need entertainment, and it's Muggins here who has to do it. So a while ago, I was going down to do some entertainment at Goldsmiths University in South London. Now, okay, and I'll laugh from that from the balcony. Right, so they know. For the rest of you, that's where the biggest twats go. Okay? It's sort of like the Alcatraz of these camps, okay? So I was going down there and I received an email from the head of the student union about an hour before the gig, and he said, hey Garrett, we're so excited about you coming down, we're so excited, everyone is really excited about the comedy. It's going to be such a great night, everybody's really pumped. But before you come down, we've got a document and we're going to need you to read it and sign it and send it back. And I thought, well that's odd, I don't normally get that sort of thing. So I opened the email and the document was something called a safe space policy, which I'd never heard of before. And I gave it a read, I didn't read all of it, it was 8 pages long. I read the first half page and then called the bloke up and went, go fuck yourself, sunshine, I'm not coming. And he said, why? What's the problem? I said, should we go through the first page? Point number 1, please avoid dominating the conversation. Literally what I'm being paid for. The whole thing. Point number 2, please allow others to share their views. No! I don't give a flying fuck what an 18-year-old thinks at the best of the times, particularly not when I'm on the chuckle bus trying to tell him jokes. Point number 3 said, please use uncomplicated language. It's a university. Have some self-respect. If there are words that I'm using that you don't understand, maybe look them up in your own time tomorrow in the library. Point number 4 was something about gender-neutral toilets. Well, at that stage I was too angry, so I called him back and said, I'm not coming. And he said, but we need you to come. And I said, yes, you do, don't you? And he said, yeah, we do. And I said, here's a lesson from adult life. If you need someone to do something for you, you don't get to make demands of them like that. And he was like, please, come. And I said, no, you've got a dreadful reputation of getting on people's social medias and being dickheads, and I've got things to do next week, and I can't be arguing with children. And he said, please, but why? But why? And I said, well, a number of reasons. One of the main ones being, I'm an adult and you're a child, and I'm not willing to fucking surrender yet. And he said, but please. And I said, no. And he said, please. I said, don't beg. And he said, please. I said, okay. I said, I will come to South London and do the gig on one condition. If any of you precious little pricks so much as look in the direction of my social media feed next week, I will come to South London and I will find you, sir, and I will beat you to death with your own shoes. He said, okay. I said, you got yourself a gig, sunshine. I went down, I did 20 minutes of material about their safe space policy, fucking rocked the joint. It was incredible. Thank you. I was like Johnny Cash at San Quentin. They were like, we hate this bullshit too! There were 2 people from the union in the front row who were furious, but the rest of us had a whale of a time. Then afterwards, a very nice lady from the union said, would you like to come with us to get some drinks? And I was like, of course I would. You're students, you get insane drink deals, and you always talk a lot of shit. And at some point in the future, I will need to go to the Pleasance in Islington and talk to some nice people, and I'll need something to say, so let's go. So I went there, and she was very nice, and she was trying to interrogate my actual opinions about safe space policy. And she was like, you don't actually have a problem with it, though. You don't actually have a problem with it, though. Come on. You actually don't. You don't. I said, I have a problem with it being 8 pages long. If you have to have one, put it on a business card. On one side, it could say, don't be a cunt. On the other side, it could say, if you see someone being a cunt, have a quiet word. It doesn't need to be anything more than that. And she said, well, people might get offended. I said, good. Good, get offended. You don't have a right to go through your life not being offended by things. Being offended by things is how you find out how you feel about shit. You're young, roll up your sleeves, dive in, and fucking get offended. She went, I don't understand. I said, basically, I had to come here this evening and call you all cunts. So you don't grow up to be cunts. It's like a vaccine. Right? So we had a nice time. We were sort of going around, and we were having a drink there, and I was sort of enjoying myself. They were sort of generally talking a lot of shit, and there was something amazing happening. So we were in the pub, and we were having a chat. And I was having a great time, because on the next table, something brilliant was happening. There was a dance going on, a dance as old as time. Because on the next table, there was a young gentleman trying to woo a young lady. And she was there, she was the wokest thing you've ever seen. Green hair, fucking shit in her ear, slogan t-shirt, and he was pulling out all the stops. He was talking about tree frogs, he was talking about recycling, gender-neutral toilets. I was like, this is amazing, you get in there, sunshine. Go, go, go. You close that shit down, proud of you, boy. And then he took a weird left turn at the traffic lights, which really pricked my ears up, because that afternoon, he had seen the 90s television sitcom Friends. And he was very upset. Oh, he was very upset. It was the most offensive thing he had ever seen. I was like, what? Sorry, excuse me, Friends? Friends? You're talking about Friends? What the fuck is wrong with Friends? And he went, oh, it's very bad, actually. It's very bad. It's full of shaming. There's lots of fat shaming in it. I was like, so what? And he went, shame is bad. We need to remove shame from our society. I said, you leave shame where it is. Shame is the seatbelt that's prevented me from going through the windscreen of the car crash I've made in my life. You take shame away from society, I will be dead in 3 days. You leave shame exactly where it is just because you don't know what it's for yet, you young whippersnapper. And then he pulled out the big guns and he went, yeah, but it's so white. I went, so what? So are you? And he went, that's offensive. I was like, it is not even in the top 5 most offensive things about you. And he went, well, Friends would be a less offensive programme if at least one of the characters was black. And I went, I said, would it really? Would it really? Okay, let's test the theory. Let's make Joey black. He doesn't pay his rent. He steals from his friends. He fucks anything that moves. Ugh! Could you imagine the unwatchable embarrassment Friends would be if Joey was black? If Joey was black, Friends would make the black and white minstrel show look genuinely progressive. And he went, no, you're being extreme. I said, fine, we'll pick another example. Phoebe, let's make her Mexican. Her mum's a crack addict. She threatens to stab Chandler in one of the episodes. She's always playing that fucking guitar. Can you imagine that? Her rocking up in Central Perk, sombrero, nachos all down her. Going, oh, smelly kid. Oh, smelly kid. That'd be a less offensive programme, would it? He went, you're being extreme. I said, I'll dial it down. Monica, let's make her Indian. Why is she so underwritten? There are problems. Problems all over the shop. Like Rachel, Chandler, they're both fucking their best mate's sibling. You add a racial element, you're saying something. Ross, let's make him Chinese. Why's he got a monkey? Why is he not allowed to live with the other friends? Why has he only seen his son twice in a decade? No. No, they all have to be white. Because it is a program about 6 absolute pricks. Thank you. This seems to be going well. You having a nice time? Yeah, see what I can do about that. Now. All right, settle down. Now, in order for this next bit not to be what the kids are calling problematic, I'd need to speak Mandarin. Full disclosure, I do not speak Mandarin. Now, my best friend Setters lives in China. He's lived in China for about 10 years. We've been best friends since we were about 15 years old. He came to see me 2 summers ago. He brought Connie. Connie's his fiancée. She's from China. She does not speak English. I do not speak Mandarin, as we've discussed. Setters speaks Mandarin fluently, which is absurd, as he's always spoken in a monotone. Okay. About 7 or 8 people in the stalls. To the rest of you, that's actually very funny. Because Mandarin is a tonal language, right? So tonal language, monotone bloke, ahahaha. I was just expecting people coming to the Pleasance in Islington to be a bit more cultured. But I can't handhold you through all of it now. So we had some friends around on a Saturday afternoon. I was in the garden, I was cleaning the barbecue. Setters and Connie were in the kitchen, and they were having a conversation, which to mine ear went something like this, right? Connie goes, 西找听好心嘛. Just chill out, okay? Just loosen your buttholes. Look, if you've got a problem with this, don't worry about it. I read on Twitter recently, you cannot discriminate against people who are in a majority. I've looked into this. There are loads of Chinese people, okay? They're in a global majority. They're in charge of everything. So if you're looking at this going, that isn't cool, you're wrong. It's actually a brilliant example of what the kids these days call punching up. And it makes me a bit of a hashtag hero, so actually, you're very welcome. So she goes, I'm gonna do it again. You're gonna love the next 4 minutes. I'm gonna do it a lot. You ready? This one's for you. So she goes, and then he went,
barbecue.
She went, woman yao shi shen mai.
Woman yashi, barbecue.
Barbecue?
Barbecue.
She went, how? Now just shen she?
Oh, yeah. Barbecue.
She went, hui chung we barbecue. She would jiao barbecue. Na tai ji ji jiao barbecue.
She do it barbecue.
She went, bai wen wan chen meo darling. I went inside and said what any reasonable person would say in that situation. I said, what the fuck are you two talking about? And Setter said,
Connie's just asked what the social occasion people are coming round for this afternoon is called. I said it's called a barbecue. She said, cool. What are we going to be eating? I said, we're going to be eating barbecue. And she said, so the party is barbecue, and that pile of food is barbecue. I said, yes, that is what I've been trying to say. We are having a barbecue. She said, okay, cool, what's that thing called? Yeah, a couple of you are ahead of me. But oh, that, it's called a barbecue. She said, so people are coming over for a party that is barbecue. We are going to eat barbecue, and it's being cooked on that machine, which is barbecue. And I said, yes, that is what I have been trying to say. We are having a barbecue. Connie says that's the dumbest thing she's ever heard. White people make no sense.
she's got a point. She has got a point. I was actually doing that routine just before the pandemic on American television because I'm actually a bigger deal than this would suggest. And the producer said to me, so you're going to tell that story? And I went, yes. And he said, can you speak Mandarin? I said, no, I can't. He said, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm just going to do a Chinese voice. He said, what do you mean, a Chinese voice? I went, you know, like, cha-cha-ta-ta. And he went, there will be complaints. I went, I honestly don't think a single Chinese person's going to mind. He said, not from Chinese people. I said, from who? He said, woke white liberals. I said, hang on a minute. Do you need to tell me that I have to spend the next 3 months learning Mandarin so that I do not upset other white people when I tell them a true story which relies on neither I nor they understanding a single word that's being said, with the exception of barbecue. He said, that is correct. I was like, I must concur with Connie. White people make absolutely no fucking sense. I quit Facebook. Do it. Do it, you must do it. Do it now. Quit Facebook. I used to think I hated Facebook, but I realized I don't. I hate people. When it comes to Marmite, nobody hates the jar, and Facebook is just the jar that people come in. Because I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand all the politics, people sharing their stupid politics. I'm friends with loads of comedians. Comedians always go politics. Oh, political comedians. Every time you turn on the TV, there's a comedian there going, I think this about the Irish backstop. Who gives a shit, mate? You're a fucking clown. Shut up. It's not our fault, it's your fault. You keep asking us about politics. Stop it. We're idiots. We get out of bed at lunchtime. We eat Cocoa Pops from the packet. We are the band on the Titanic. We're not the people you go to ask for directions to the lifeboats. My agent's saying to me, do political comedy. I was like, I've no interest in political comedy. Well, I've got a slight interest in it. I've got a degree in it, but... I'm just sick of it. I'm saying no as a protest. When did it become my job to tell you about politics? Do you remember when we joined the European Union? I don't remember Morecambe and Wise on the news discussing it. It wasn't considered to be part of their job. Do you know what Ross Abbott's views were on the first Bush administration? Of course you don't, nor should you. The Berlin Wall came down, we weren't shooting into Newsnight going, we're going live now to Cannon and Ball, who are going to give us their views on the situation. It's fucking ridiculous. People sharing their shit politics. And if it wasn't that, it was people sharing mental health memes. Lord spare me from mental health memes. It's National Feeling a Bit Boo-Hoo Day. Are you feeling a bit boo-hoo? Are you feeling a bit, are you thinking of slitting your wrists in the garage? Well done. It's National Screaming Into the Void Week. Do you know what would make you feel better? I know what would make you feel better. Share your feelings. Share your feelings. Tell everyone your feelings. Come on, tell us. Type it into the box. It'll make you feel good. But I don't want to share my feelings. Share your feelings. We used to call those people nosy. It's considered a bad thing. We had a phrase in Britain. It's fallen out of common usage. I want to bring it back. It's this one. Mind your own fucking business. What a phrase. I grew up in the 90s. We didn't need mental health memes in the 90s. Do you know why? Because we had the song Everybody Hurts by R.E.M. That was enough for an entire generation of us. You feeling a bit boo-hoo, you whacked that on the stereo and you went, ow. Everyone feels like this today. How comforting. But when? Sometimes. Thanks, R.E.M., that's absolutely cracking. That's how we did things. We had songs for everything. We didn't need memes. We had a soundtrack to our lives. We had R.E.M. for depression. We had that group one for It's Not That Nice to Live in Africa. We had songs for everything. Like we had feminism, but we had the Spice Girls to go along with it. That was better. Woo, indeed. Girl power. Yes, please. Say what you like about the Me Too movement, but you can't sing along, can you? Girl power was better, because they engaged an entire generation of men and women with a simple message. They came out, didn't they? They danced around, they came out, fronted by Jerry Halliwell, the acceptable face of British nationalism. They came out... And they said, if you would like to have sex with me, you must also fuck my friends. Cool. Okay, yeah. That sounds like it's going to be enormous fun. In many ways, it was very misleading. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine recently. He's 22, and he was like, you keep going on about how the 90s were better, but you didn't have all of the great stuff. You didn't have all of the great stuff that we have now on the internet. You didn't have all that stuff. And I was like, we did. But we had it on television in smaller, more manageable quantities. He said, you didn't have Twitter. I said, yes, we did, but it was called Points of View. It was only on for 15 minutes a week, and that was enough. Terry Wogan would come out and read out your opinions in a voice that let you know exactly what Terry Wogan thought of your stupid opinions. And then you get your tail, put it between your legs, and you go about your week. It was a better time. He said, you didn't have YouTube. I said, we did, but it was called You've Been Framed. It was on at 5:30 on a Saturday. We'd sit down before tea, watch someone paralyse themselves at a wedding, and it would really set us up. He said, you didn't have Tinder? I said, we did, but it was called Blind Date. Okay, younger people in the audience, Blind Date. So what you had 3 lads, and they were 90s lads, so they didn't have thoughts or feelings. Just hair gel and T-shirts. And they would sit on stools behind a wall, and then a woman would be led out, like a cow. By this sort of buck-toothed orange scouser. And... We're all right with that? Yeah. I did that in Liverpool recently and nearly got killed. Yeah, Cilla Black. Buck-toothed orange scouser. So she'd pop the woman on a stool, and then she'd gang back round the other side of the wall, and what she'd do, she'd invite the lads to shout sexually aggressive threats over the wall. And the most threatening one got to take her on a free holiday. And then we'd all come back the next week. We'd come back, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, Britain united as a nation like never before, and we would watch a sort of prototype Instagram story of their date. And then we would watch as the Scouser sat them down on a sofa and found new and more interestingly polite forms of language to ask them the only question that we, the people of Britain, needed to know. Have you had it off? And they never had. They never had, but we watched anyway, diligently, every week for 20 years. For we were not a greedy people. Not like today, everybody tuning into Love Island every night to see which of the pigs has rotted. Which one's had sex with which one? Love Island. It's like when the Romans fed Christians to lions, but you're the lion. Love Island, 'cause civilization is just a word. I'll take that. All right. Yeah. 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 So, I've been trying to see if I can offend you people, and I haven't been able to so far. So let's pile drive this gig into the fucking floor. Yay! All right, cool. Who here's heard of Twitter? Okay, 4 of you. The rest of you, I sympathise. I had not heard of Twitter myself until 2004, when I was in a bar in Cambodia talking to the worst man I have ever met. Now, I wasn't with him, we were just at a bar together drinking whiskey, and in the time-honoured tradition of drinking whiskey with strangers in strange bars in parts of the world you've never been in before, I had to listen to his tale of woe. And he was very upset, as that afternoon he had been banned from the local brothel. Now, I don't know what you know about brothels in Southeast Asia, but you have to go some to get banned from one. So I made the mistake of asking this man, how did you get banned from the brothel? And for my sins, he told me. He sat there and he took a big draw on this cigarette, and as he exhaled the smoke, he sort of ate it. And he went, I like debauchery. And I particularly like paying close attention to the Twitter. And I made a terrible error. And I said, what's the Twitter? And he said, it is the smooth bit between a lady's arsehole and her vagina. And I said, why is it called the Twitter? And he said, because It is halfway between the twat and the shitter. Now, I didn't hear of Twitter again for a few more years. Until a website was launched aimed at gentlemen like this. Now, this website became very big, became very famous, and if you wanted to have a role in our society, in comedy, in broadcasting, in publishing, in politics, any of the jobs really now, you've got to be on Twitter, which is odd, because that is not a role afforded to other websites aimed at people like this gentleman. Just that one. So I do comedy, so my agent's like, you've got to get on Twitter, you've got to get on Twitter. Everyone's on Twitter. And I looked into it, 11% of the country are on it. And it was like, yeah, but the important 11% who work in media, the tastemakers, you've got to get on it. And I was like, why? And he was like, to see if you could sell some tickets. And I was like, okay. So I logged on it to have a look, and it seemed to me to be a website that was mainly aimed at pussies fighting. Now, I'm nearly 40. I remember a time when people used to fight properly, with dignity, like animals in the street. Now, it was like at the end of an evening's drinking, what would happen? You'd be queuing up for a taxi. Younger people in the audience, a taxi. It was like an Uber, but the person driving it wasn't being forced into a form of indentured servitude by you. You had to pay them properly, treat them with respect, and queue up for them. You couldn't just stand drunkenly in the middle of a city centre with your dick in your hand going, "Come and get me!" and then throw some pennies at them and go home and somehow sleep. But we would queue up. We would queue up for the taxi at the end of the evening's drinking. But it wasn't boring. The locals would put on gladiatorial matches to entertain us. And we would eat fried food while we were watching the fights. Like Byzantine emperors going, yum, yum, yum. This is fine entertainment. I am a happy ape. And one day I was watching one of these fights in Southampton where I was living at the time, and I was queuing up for a taxi, and two wiry fuckers were going at it. And there is nothing better than watching two wiry fuckers fight. And we were there going, num, 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 num. And there were cheerleaders, like there often were, going, leave it, Darren! It was great. And they were fighting, we were going, num, 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 num. And then a do-gooding giant came in and ruined it and pulled them apart and went, all right, leave it. And we went, no! Stop ruining the fight! And then one of the wiry fuckers sucker punched him and we went, bonus fight! Num, 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 num. And the giant went down, and then the giant got up, and he looked at the wiry fuckers, and he took his belt off and went, right! And he went in, and he whipped both of them until they were crying like babies. And we were like, this is amazing. And then the giant stood over this mangled pile of bleeding flesh with horror and regret and remorse in his eyes. Because before the age of keyboards, if you wanted to hit someone, you had to feel it too. And he was there, looking at what he'd done, and I saw revulsion and disgust and remorse in his face. And he looked over at us at the taxi rank, and I'll never forget it. He had this wild, crazed look in his eyes, and he said this, I was just trying to fucking help! And then his wife ran up, tapped him on the shoulder and went, Dave, we've got to go or your parole officer will go mental. It was amazing. So I logged onto Twitter one morning to see what could be seen. And luckily on Twitter, you don't have to navigate it yourself. They have a board of the top 10 most pointless fights happening that day. It's called Trending. At number 1, there was a fight going on about somebody I'd never heard of before called Jamila Jamil, who had recently secured employment presenting a program on Channel 5 about dancing. And half of Twitter were very, very pleased about that for no reason, and half of Twitter were very angry about it for no reason, and they were fucking going at it. And I was looking and going, how do you sell tickets in a bar fight? My agent was like, I don't know, just try. And I was staring at this going, what the fuck is this? At a point, Jamila Jamil just went, this is toxic, I'm leaving. I was like, I like the cut of your jib, Jamila Jamil. Can I come? My agent went, sit down. So I stared at this and I was trying to work out how to make some funny, amusing quip about this situation so I could go into the middle of the fight and go, hey everyone, does anyone want to come and see me at the Pleasance? I'll go for... So I was trying to work out how that might be done and something amazing happened. A noted feminist tweeter rode into town on her horse, clicking her spurs, and she said, I'm going to sort this out. And she did a tweet, and it said this. She said, to those of you criticizing Jamila Jamil, I would say this. She is a woman of color living in a racist society, and as such, should not be criticized for anything. Oh, shit! What a point! That's a higher intellectual level than been going on in the fight so far. Ooh, what's gonna happen? Then something terrible happened. A man replied. And not just any type of man. The worst type of man. A white man. This gammon-faced patriarchal piece of shit took his fat, pink, sausage fucking fingers onto his keyboard and was like, I'm gonna ruin everyone's fucking day. I gotta say, as an aside, I was so glad earlier on this year when we had a daughter, because I did not want to be responsible for bringing another white man into this world. I was so sure we were gonna have a boy. I was yelling at my wife's vagina daily going, time's up, you little fucker! And then the baby came out, it was a girl, and I was like, thank God, I'm part of the solution. And then I realised, actually, my daughter is going to be an affluent white lady whose parents work in the arts, and those people are scum of the earth. So we dodged a bullet and got hit by a missile. Like, what are you going to do? So this disgusting, porcine, gammon prick rears up into this argument to ruin everyone's day, and he says this. Although well-meaning, I would say that to remove someone from criticism is in fact to infantilize them. To infantilize someone is to say that they are less than you. And to say someone is less than you is in fact, in of itself, racist. Sorry. Fucking yuck! And then the feminist retweeted what he had said milliseconds later. And she said this. This is what women have to put up with on Twitter. Being mansplained to by a man. Yes! Yes, fucking queen! Twitter erupted. The feminists came out of every digital nook and cranny and they screamed, oh, the single ladies, oh, the single ladies, oh, the single ladies, who run the world, girls, who run the world. Stay down, you gammon prick, mic drop, yes, fucking queen! Then I don't know what happened to the man. I don't know what happened. Perhaps he'd gone off to have a fucking word with himself. Then as the feminists were celebrating 4 minutes later, the man came back and he said this. He said, you are wrong. For I am not a man. I am a gay man. Wallop! Then we're off to the fucking races, because everybody knows gay man beats cis-het straight woman at rock, paper, Twitter. Then seconds later, the men's rights activists came up over the hill and went, lads on tour, who are ya? Who are ya? Lads on tour, who are ya? The feminists were going, yes, queen, who are ya? Yes, queen. The digital barstools were flying around. In the middle, the feminist was going, oh, I'm sorry. I will learn, I will listen, I will read. I'm sorry. I didn't know that I was being rude to a gay man. I thought I was just being rude to another human being. Oh, I'm sorry. I will learn and listen and read. She was terrified the Twitter mob were coming to rip her thumbs off because she was playing identity politics. Identity politics is poker, and everyone knows you never bet till you've seen the flop. She was there crying and screaming while the men's rights activists were going at the feminists. They were all going fucking yeah and going bash, bash, bash. In the middle is some cunt trying to go all in on the fact he was half French. We were like, Brexit was ages ago, get the fuck out of it. And they were there arguing and screaming and arguing and insult after insult, pylon after pylon. And I looked at this misery and I looked at this hatred and I stared into Twitter and Twitter stared back at me and it said, I was just trying to fucking help! But you can help nothing, and you can help no one if you live your life in the smooth bit between the twat and the shitter. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, or Instagram or Facebook, that'd be great. Thanks. If, look, in all seriousness, like, if you've been offended by anything I've said here this evening, like the Chinese voice, what I said about the feminist or whatever, and you want to send me a tweet, or like even through my website, like a well-reasoned like email that you've actually thought about and spent some time on, I won't read it. So why don't you go and scream your opinion into a fucking bin? Because, look, there's been some confusion I'd like to clear up. Nothing I said here this evening was meant for you to agree with it. I'm not qualified to talk about anything I've been talking about here this evening. This is some shit that I wrote down. A lot of it I wrote when drunk. You know, so, you know, where I'm wrong, it's not your job to fix me. Where you're wrong, it's not my job to fix you. I just thought this would make you laugh, and I hope if you found something funny, you found the freedom to laugh, and I hope if you didn't find something funny, you found the freedom not to, like that bloke. And I've taken both of those things on board, and we're done now, okay? We're finished, okay? Because this hour was yours, right? Because you paid for it, and all of the other hours are mine, so fuck off. Now we got that cleared up. Let's end on a bit of observational comedy. Calm down, you don't know what it's going to be yet. Have you ever noticed? Yeah, I know how to start a bit of observational comedy. Bang! Goddamn professional. Have you ever noticed twats don't get murdered? It's not fair, is it? There are loads of them knocking around. I've never turned on the news of an evening to hear he was no great loss, say friends. He was known to spout racist opinions in the local pub. He was an estate agent and a shit dad. And don't hear it, which I do not think is on. Just once in my life, so I could believe in a God on high, looking after every single one of us on this earth, just once, I want to turn on the news of an evening and hear, when asked to comment earlier this afternoon, his headmaster said, "Who?" No, I don't know the kids, sorry, no. Huh? Well, it's just there are loads of them. I mean, what do you want me to say? He was 7, he hadn't really achieved anything. That was the line, was it? Yeah. Dead kid. Yep. We found it, dead kid.
I was doing that joke on stage once in Budapest, and I was told before I went on, they went, don't swear, whatever you do, don't swear. I said, it's not a problem, I can work clean. So I went out and I told that twat routine, and they looked at me like dogs watching TV in confused silence. In the middle, out of nowhere, they erupted into hysteria like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. And then almost immediately snapped back to confused silence. Now, as a comedian, or indeed just as a human being, very difficult to know what to do with a reaction like that. So fuck it. And I went to the bar to get a beer, and this German lad comes up to me and he goes, I think you are having a problem with your final routine. We are not knowing what a twat is. We discussed it while you were on the stage, and we thought, he means dwarf. And I thought, yes, this is very funny indeed. Who has ever heard of a murdered dwarf? So then you carried on talking with your jokes, it became clear you did not mean dwarf. And everyone is being confused again. So what is a twat? What is a twat? My friend at the bar is saying it is a female fish. This is making less sense than dwarf. So I said a twat. A twat is that person when they arrive in the pub, everyone goes, oh, Christ. He said, yes, okay, why? And I was like, I don't know, maybe you lend them money and they don't pay it back. Or they got really horrible opinions, they casually drop into conversation. Or they go around making shit up. And he went, make shit up? What is make shit up? And I don't know, they go around saying things like they slept with your sister when they didn't. And he went, you mean a cunt? Ladies and gentlemen of the Pleasance, it has been a privilege performing for you here this evening. Thank you very much.
you